We're a week into free agency and the landscape of the NFL has radically changed, which has a big impact on the draft. Today, we're going to explore the different possibilities in a 3-round mock draft. Let's go ahead, get into this sucker with pick 1, the Chicago Bears, and they still have Justin Fields. The market for Justin Fields has seemingly dried up. But I believe if they were going to move this pick, they would have either done it by now, or at least we would hear rumors of them trying to shop this pick. So as far as I'm concerned, this pick is Caleb Williams until it's not. So I'm going to go ahead and grab Caleb Williams. At pick 2, the Washington Commanders. The Commanders have had a good free agency, but we know this pick isn't changing. We know this pick's going to be quarterback. The question is, who? I like Drake May. He's my quarterback too. If you want to check out my quarterback rankings, I'll put it right here in the iCard. But maybe Cliff Kingsbury does fancy himself Jaden Daniels. I don't think I've explored that in a mock draft yet, so we're going to go ahead and do it, and I'm going to take Jaden Daniels. And we're here at pick 3 with the New England Patriots, and they've had a remotely unexciting free agency as they've kind of just focused on keeping some of their own guys. They bring in Jacoby Brissett. So maybe they trade this pick. Maybe they just send it and take Marvin Harrison Jr. I think if Drake May is on the board, they're going to go ahead and take him. So here we go. 3 picks in, 3 quarterbacks. But don't worry, Arizona Cardinals, we ain't taking quarterback here. We could trade, and I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility, but I mean, this is a team that outside of Michael Wilson, Greg Dortch, they need receiving help. Let's just go ahead, snag Marvin Harrison Jr. Pick 5, this is where I'm actually going to have the trade happen. We know the Vikings, they acquired a second first-round pick just yesterday from the Texans, and a lot of people think it's going to be used to move up to go get a quarterback. So, and I think the Chargers are going to be a prime candidate to want to trade down, acquire more picks for Jim Harbaugh. So we're going to keep it simple. We're just going to trade pick 11, pick 23 to the Chargers for pick 5. All right, so now we got the Minnesota Vikings picking here, and I honestly think with they bring in Sam Darnold, I think they're going to feel good about taking J.J. McCarthy and developing him. I know some people don't think he's a top 10 quarterback. Some people don't think he is a first round quarterback. But the rumor is the NFL is swooning, if that's a word, over JJ McCarthy. So to me, he's got to at least go in the top 12 picks. We have the Vikings moving up ahead of teams that possibly could take him. I mean, shoot, if I'm the Giants, I would at least consider it, really. So JJ McCarthy going to the Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota Vikings fans, that's it. That's all your picks. Pick 6, the New York Giants. 4 quarterbacks already off the board. And I'm going to be honest, I think when the Giants said, hey, we're going to be looking at a quarterback this offseason, I think Drew Lock was that move. I think they're just going to send it in potentially Daniel Jones's final season and see how it goes. But they're going to at least surround them with talent. They've been very active when it comes to the offensive line in free agency. We're going to go ahead and snag Malik Neighbors. He is going to be my wide receiver too. I think he's a little bit closer to Marvin Harrison than he is to Rome Odunze. Big fan. Speaking of predictable picks, the Tennessee Titans, they went out, they grabbed a wide receiver in Calvin Ridley, paid him a lot of money. They bring in Chidobe Awuzie, which by no means does that mean they're done at corner, but I guess corner could still be in play, but they released Andre Dillard. That says to me this pick is going to be a tackle. I believe that tackle will be Joe Alt. Atlanta Falcons, another team that's kind of showed their hand. They're probably officially out of the quarterback market now that they've got Kirk Cousins. They brought in some wide receivers, so I don't necessarily think wide receivers out of the realm of possibilities, but they are in a good position to take the top defensive player on the board, whoever that may be for them. I think Liatu Latu could make some sense here, but I'm going to go with Dallas Turner. think he ends up being a really good fit. Raheem Morris last season got another very just stupid good athlete in Byron Young, so maybe he kind of mimics that decision here. So we're gonna snag Dallas Turner real quick. If you want to know more about these prospects, or if you just want to know about all these prospects, I got good news for you. I got a draft guide. Listen, I know you love the NFL draft as much as I do, and you're gonna want a nice hefty watch list of players during this college football season. Well, go ahead, check out my draft guide. You can purchase it for only $30 by Venmoing or PayPaling me. Links in the description. It's a one-time payment and you get it for this whole draft cycle and forever and always. Technically, it's a Google spreadsheet, so send me your email when you send the payment. I'll get you hooked up. You will see my current prospect rankings and big board, my full evals, and guess what? It updates throughout the whole draft cycle. So it's a great purchase and it's a great way to support the channel. Pick 9, Chicago Bears. And funny enough, I know they got Keenan Allen, but I don't think I'm sitting here staring Rome Odunze in the face and I'm like, golly, you first off, you draft a franchise quarterback in Caleb Williams, and then you give him Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze, and DJ Moore. Shoot, they even brought in Gerald Everett. They got Cole Kmet, brought in DeAndre Swift. I want all of the offense. So I'm actually going to go with Rome Odunze. I'm just going to send it. Which makes me sad because the Jets, I would love to pick up Rome Odunze there. It feels like they've made their offensive line moves. They may be short-term moves, but they're moves nonetheless. Add in Tyron Smith. So I don't know. I don't think necessarily they will go tackle. But I do think they'll probably try to get some sort of playmaker here in the receiving game. So I'm actually going to take Brock Bowers. He's such a hard player to project where he may go, which, I mean, honestly, Chargers, I'd be sitting there and probably would have taken him at 11. But now he's off the board at 10. So what the hell am I going to do at 11? I think there's a plethora of possibilities. We could go with corner. We could go with tackle. I mean, there's right tackle galore if you wanted to add that. But actually, I'm going to go with corner. I feel better about being, instead of grabbing offensive tackle 2, I feel better grabbing my top corner, getting my pick of the corner I want to instill in this system. And I'm going to go ahead and snag Quinyon Mitchell. I'm pretty high on him at this point. It's going to be up there contending for corner 1 for me. And I think he'd be a good fit to the defense here. All right, we got the Denver Broncos, and I honestly believe they're taking a quarterback in the draft. I don't know what else they would do. I don't think they can move up, but they can maybe move back, acquire some other day 2 picks, and then draft a quarterback later in the first. I think that's probably maybe a better scenario. So this is going to be actually our last trade of the draft because I don't want to get too crazy in a 3-rounder. And we're going to be trading with the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm going to go ahead and send pick 17 and their 3rd round pick 96 for 12. Again, I'm not going to try to make it too complicated. And now the Jaguars are here picking at 12, and this may sound crazy. I don't think it does. I'm going to snag Brian Thomas Jr., who tested phenomenally for a guy who's 6'3", 203 pounds, running a 4.33. Freaking insane. You're like, well, they just added Gabe Davis. I'm sorry, I don't believe that much in Gabe Davis. And then just keep adding more receiving talent. You got to hit on something eventually, right? So I'm going to go ahead, do that there. A little unfortunate. I would have liked Quinyon Mitchell for Ryan Nielsen's defense, but he goes off the board to pick ahead. And I'm like, you know what? The only other player I kind of like is, you could say Terrion Arnold, Brian Thomas. Regardless, I think the Jags could be like a trade-up candidate to get one of those guys. Las Vegas Raiders, kind of a tough pick here. I thought about Terrion Arnold. Ultimately, I settled on going with Talinise Fuanga, the right tackle out of Oregon State. Whether you see him as right guard or right tackle, they could definitely fill a right side of the offensive line need. It really depends what they want their Mumford to do. So we're going to snag him there. Just continue to add and make that offensive line just freaking spick and span. Now, I've often liked taking tackle for the Saints, but I kind of want to explore maybe something different. I think, honestly, I would have taken Troy Fautanu here, who could be left guard or left tackle for the Saints. But I'm going to go with someone else I'm pretty high on. I think edge definitely needs some help there, as Cam Jordan is getting up there in years. They really just have Carl Granderson. Really don't know what you have in Isaiah Foskey, but I feel like he's probably a prime rotation player. So we're going to snag Jared Verse. Very high on Jared Verse. He's going to be up there with my edge one. Indianapolis Colts, and I would have loved Brian Thomas here. I would have loved Brock Bowers here, but neither are here. So I'm just going to go ahead and snag Terrion Arnold, grab more cornerback help. They re-signed a ton of their guys, but the talent they have brought in, it's been a lot of defensive line like Raekwon Davis and such. So I'm just going to add to that cornerback room with more talent. Terrion Arnold gives you some outside versatility. Seattle Seahawks, kind of tough. Would love to trade down. Couldn't really find a suitor to trade up though. So I had to make a tough decision. And ultimately, I think what I decided to go with was Troy Fautanu. And he's going to play left guard. Now, they've struggled with tackle injuries before. That's why they bring in George Fant. You don't know if Abraham Lucas is going to be ready to go. Charles Cross missed some games last year. So having someone that has that, I don't want to say tackle versatility, because honestly, if I'm a team, I would play Fautanu at tackle. And if it didn't work, then I'd move him to guard. But in this case, we're going to be playing him at guard because literally they have no one playing that left guard spot. But before we get to pick 17 and select a quarterback for the Broncos, I got to give a shout out to Underdog Fantasy. Thank you for being the sponsor of today's video. When you sign up using promo code Broshmo at Underdog Fantasy, they will match that first deposit up to $100. $1 is the best place to play weekly best ball, or my favorite, higher or lower on player props. It's not just football. They do all kinds of sports. But remember, if you do sign up, use promo code Broshmo. They'll match that first deposit up to $100 dues. And as always, bet wisely, bet responsibly. We're taking Bo Nix to the Denver Broncos. I think he is literally a Sean Payton quarterback. Cincinnati Bengals, ultimately, as of right now, Mekhi Becton is not signed with the team. And even if he does, I think I'm still looking for a more long-term answer at right tackle. And I'm going to go with a bit of a freak in Amarius Mims here to the Bengals. At pick 19, I'm the Rams, and I would love to take a corner here. I would love to take an edge. Liatu Latu is here. You could go Nate Wiggins, Kool-Aid McKinstry, Cooper DeJean. You could go with one of the top defensive interiors, whether it's Byron Murphy or Jerzon Newton. But I think I'm actually gonna go with Olu Fashanu. I didn't expect him to be here at 19, and I really can't see him falling out of the top 20. They have Alaric Jackson at left tackle, and also that's the weakest part of their offensive line. Fashanu is going to be a really good fit here for Sean McVay's offense. So, yeah, I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. I'm just going to go ahead and snag him. Boy, those words just came out so smoothly, right? Pick 20, Pittsburgh Steelers. And I could go corner here. Pittsburgh never takes wide receivers in the first round, or at least they haven't in quite some time. But I could go with tackle. Tackles are starting to fly off the board. I personally am not a big fan of Dan Morgan, but maybe they haven't really figured out their center position. I'm a huge fan of Jackson Powers Johnson. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to snag him here. I really do think that the Steelers probably just like Dan Morgan. So, yeah, we're going to snag Jackson Powers Johnson. Miami Dolphins. They took Aaron Brewer. So, I guess Jackson Powers Johnson was just out of the cards anyway for the Dolphins. Kind of is what it is. We could go with tackle, and it's J.C. Latham. And honestly, I would probably play him at guard. I think some of the NFL probably sees him as a guard, which is kind of wild. I think he could probably do either or. But that's definitely a possibility. I think I'm just going to try to get a replacement for Christian Wilkins. And I hate saying that. Like, you're not going to replace. I know, Gojo, right? I'm sad too. You're not going to replace Christian Wilkins. But maybe we could stem the bleeding and add some more talent, because we honestly, I don't think we have a lot of guys there anyway outside of Zach Seiler. Or Sealer. So I'm going to go ahead and snag Byron Murphy from Texas. Horns up, baby. Horns up. Okay, we got the Philadelphia Eagles, and I'm going to be honest, the best talent here is corner. They could use help in the secondary. Do I think the Eagles are going to take a corner? I don't know. They just tend to let value hit them in the face. For me, that value is Cooper DeJean. He gives you safety, flexibility. Both are positions that, I'm going to be honest, I'd be looking to upgrade. So I'm going to snag him here. Los Angeles Chargers. With our first pick, we took Quinion Mitchell. Now let's get some wide receiver help. I'm going to snag a very fluid route runner in Adonai Mitchell. You're not going to replace Keenan Allen, but let's try to stem the bleeding. I'm pretty happy for the Chargers. I mean, we exit the first round with Quinion Mitchell and Adonai Mitchell. The Mitchell brothers. Ain't that cool? So I'm feeling really good about that. Dallas Cowboys. I would love if Jackson Powers-Johnson was here. He is not. I'm going to go with a very flexible offensive lineman in Graham Barton. I keep bumping him up slowly but surely, like up my board. I don't know what it is, man. Initially, I was like, I kind of saw him more as a second round prospect with fringe first round capabilities, but like his versatility is just so valuable, whether he plays guard or center. And shoot, I mean, the dude played left tackle the last 3 years. I don't really think he's a tackle in the NFL, but if you're in a tight spot, he could probably moonlight a tackle for you. So we're going to grab Graham Barton here to get some offensive line help for the Dallas Cowboys. Before we get into pick 25, what's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy Broshmo, just in case you did not know. So go ahead, become a bro and subscribe. Leave this video a thumbs up if you enjoy the content as always. Let me know what you think in the comment section below where we head in. Nice, beautiful football discourse. Pick 25, Green Bay Packers, and this is always a tough pick. I'm going to go with J.C. Latham as my John Runyon replacement at right guard. You get to keep Latham on the right side, and you're playing him at guard. There you go. Feeling good about the offensive line. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Laiatu Latu's here. I think he goes in the top 20, but again, it's kind of hard to project all this. At least right now, we kind of need a little bit more information and a little bit more rumors to kind of help fill in the blanks. But yeah, Laiatu Latu, best value here. Pick 27, Arizona Cardinals, and I'm gonna get some cornerback help. I'm gonna go with Nate Wiggins. I think he's got a pretty darn good high ceiling. He came in weighing 182 at Clemson's Pro Day. Again, he's like the youngest corner prospect in this class, so I don't think him putting on the weight's going to be a problem. And the Cardinals could definitely use more talent and competition at the corner position. Buffalo Bills kind of put me in a tough spot here because they made a few wide receiver additions in Mac Hollins and Curtis Samuel. I don't think that means they necessarily don't draft wide receiver here, but I've done it so often, maybe they go in another direction. I'm actually going to take Johnny Newton, add some depth on that defensive interior. Detroit Lions, I would love to take a corner here. I don't know if Kool-Aid's going to be really Dan Campbell's cup of tea. I think he could be. But instead, I'm going to go outside the box, man. I'm going to go with a wide receiver. I know. Oh, Detroit, they're not going to go wide receiver. They might. It's not like their wide receiver room is nuts. Amon-Ra St. Brown. J-Mo, you're still kind of waiting to emerge. And then you got some depth guys behind that who are very good. Like, I like Khalif Raymond. But I'm going to go with a little bit of size. I'm going to go with Keon Coleman. I know people are going to be like, oh my gosh, he ran a 4.61. He also ran the gauntlet drill. faster than any other receiver. He was the only receiver to get over 20 miles an hour. His play speed is a lot faster than what he tested out at. He gives you size, something they really don't have at the wide receiver position. So we're going to snag him there. Baltimore Ravens, I was initially going to go maybe Tyler Guyton here, but it sounds like they really maybe love themselves some Jordan Morgan. They had a private workout with him, or at least Morgan had private workouts with like, I think 3 teams. The Ravens happened to be one of them. So we're going to go ahead, snag him, have him play left guard early on because that spot's still available for them. And maybe he's the heir apparent to Ronnie Stanley. Now we got the San Francisco 49ers. Tyler Guyton's right there. I don't really believe Colton McKivitz is anything more than a depth option. So let's go ahead and send it, man. Get a guy with much better upside. Kansas City Chiefs. They have added Hollywood Brown. Does that mean they're done at wide receiver? No, but we've already seen a few of them come off the board. I feel good about the depth at wide receiver in this class. And if they do end up moving L'Jarius Sneed, maybe you want to bring in more corner talent. And I'm actually a huge fan of Kool-Aid McKinstry. Kind of sad that he gets overshadowed in this class, but I think he's got a lot of talent. Be a good addition here. Second round, we got the Carolina Panthers. Listen, we also have pick 39. You don't have to force wide receiver here if you don't want to. I'm going to actually grab some edge help and grab Chop Robinson. High upside, twitched out of his mind. New England Patriots, I'm just going to go with the Patriot way. I'm going to get you receiver help. I'm going to grab Ladd McConkey. Arizona Cardinals, I really think Zach Frazier would be a fun fit. They got Froho there at center, so you could definitely upgrade the position, and I think Zach Frazier would be an immediate upgrade. Washington Commanders, you got no one at left tackle as of right now, and we could grab Kingsley Suamataia. I'm actually a big fan. I think he could play guard. I think he could play tackle. He could play either side of the offensive line, so it gives you a little flexibility there as well. We're back here with the Chargers. Remember, I took Adonai Mitchell. I took Quinion Mitchell. And now let's get some John Harbaugh guys. We're actually going to see the first linebacker come off the board. I feel like these linebackers, I feel like there's a top 3, but how they are viewed is going to be very interesting. Like Peyton Wilson has the injury concerns. Aaron Cooper is relatively raw. And Junior Colson might not have like the upside that those two guys have athletically, but he would be a good who was the cat they drafted last year at Washington State? His name is Henley, who is a stupid good athlete, but you get that bruiser, that guy that could take on offensive linemen, that could take on blocks. Junior Colson is that, so we're going to add that to the linebacker core. Tennessee Titans, I think it would be wise if the Titans were to get a corner at this portion of the draft. And personally, I would take TJ Tampa, but I do think the NFL is probably higher on Ennis Rakestraw, so we're going to have him go here for the Tennessee Titans. Like, I'm not too far off. Like, Rakestraw is still like a top 50 prospect for me. It's just I'm a little bit higher on TJ Tampa personally. Carolina Panthers, we're back here at 39. We're staring at a plethora of wide receivers. I want to get that long field separator. Give me all the speed in the world with Xavier Worthy. And then we got the Washington Commanders on the clock with them. I'm going to add a corner here. I think TJ Tampa would actually be a really good fit to Dan Quinn's defense. Green Bay Packers. I'm always having trouble trying to figure out what to do with the Packers because that team feels really good. Like, ultimately, I always settle on maybe going corner or safety, but now that they've released Devondre Campbell, he's now in San Fran. Let's go ahead. Let's grab a guy that actually would probably have a good big RAS score. So, I mean, that's what the freaking Packers love. I'm going to snag Edgerrin Cooper here. Play next to Quay Walker. Texans, this is your first pick. Congratulations. So what are we going to do? Well, I think they'll probably look for a penetrator on the interior as now they just moved Malik Collins. So I'm going to snag Braden Fisk. This is a little higher than I would be willing to take him, but it does sound like the NFL is pretty high on him, or at least Daniel Jeremiah. Atlanta Falcons, and you don't necessarily... I always say go best player available, and to me that's kind of Tyler Nubin. They got Richie Grant, he's kind of they got what is it, Helms, but he might be better depth, more special teamer. I think I'd rather swing on a guy like Tyler Nubin to pair up with Jesse Bates. And I mean, you're getting the first safety off the board, because I really do think it's Tyler Nubin and then maybe the rest of the class. Las Vegas Raiders. And I mean, with Michael Penix still here, I feel like it's not a bad option to take him. Like, Minshew's not the long-term answer, right? So, and I mean, I think Aiden O'Connell's a very good, like a high-end backup. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm just gonna take Michael Penix since he's just sitting right there for us. New Orleans Saints. I really don't like the options at tackle at this point. I thought about maybe a guard here, but ultimately I settled on, because there was rumors that they might move Marshawn Lattimore. So maybe they don't do that this year, but maybe next year. So maybe let's get some more cornerback help. And I'm going to go with Kamari Lasser. I know some people are kind of scared because no one knows what the 40 is. We've got he ran like a 4.61. Oh no, he ran like a 4.51. I don't know. I'm going to wait for that official time to come out. I think he could be a really high-end corner too, which is great because Paulson Adebo really stepped up this past season. We got the Colts. I took Terrion Arnold. I still want a receiver. I'm going to get that just fluent, speedy route runner in Ricky Pearsall to just add to my wide receiver core. I feel really good about that. New York Giants. You lost Xavier McKinney. I'm going to go ahead and replace him with Jaden Hicks, man. Very good athlete at his size. Just looks like, hey, he is a do-good safety. So we're going to add him here. Okay, we got the Jags here at 48. I'm not in love with the outside corner talent currently available. I kind of like it better outside of the top 50. It's unfortunate that we just traded that third round pick away, but it kind of is what it is. I don't think the slot position, though, is a for sure thing. Like Antonio Johnson was a guy drafted by, I don't want to say the last regime, but the last DC that was in there. You know, and Mike Nielsen's going to want a guy that can play man coverage hella good. I don't know if Antonio Johnson could do that. He was coming from Texas A&M where they were very zone heavy. So I'm actually going to go with Mike Sainristil still here for the Jags. Got Cincinnati Bengals. This is kind of a perfect pick in my opinion. You just lost DJ Reader. We're going to go ahead. We're going to grab some meat with Tavondre Sweat. Philadelphia Eagles. The world is your oyster. We're just going to go ahead and just take talent here. You know, I don't think they necessarily have a long-term option at linebacker currently. They bring in Devin White on a one-year deal, Zach Bond on a one-year deal. Jacoby Dean, can you stay healthy? I don't know. We're going to grab Peyton Wilson because we've already seen the other two linebackers come off the board. Pittsburgh Steelers, man. And Steelers last year just kind of let value hit them in the face, and I think we're just going to go with that approach. As Darius Robinson's here, could be maybe a long-term replacement for Cameron Hayward. The Rams, we took Olu Fashanu in the first round, and now I'm maybe going to take a shot on finding someone that can help out along the defensive interior. We're going to go with Rook Arohoro, who's tested out well, great build, a little bit raw, but he has like the athletic upside, the physical upside to be really, really good. We're back here with the Philadelphia Eagles. We just took Peyton Wilson. We took in the first round Cooper DeJean. So where do we go next? And this may surprise you. They bring in Devontae Parker to be their wide receiver 3. They honestly, you could cut him after making this pick. I'm going to go with Xavier Leggett. This is just freaking phenomenal. Like it looks like they've wanted that bigger, just a bigger wide receiver 3, right? They brought in Julio. Now they bring in Devontae Parker. Let's just solve it here with Xavier Leggett, a man's man. Okay, we got the Cleveland Browns, and they got a bunch of one-year deals on that defensive line, mainly on the interior, so it might be a good option to look to the future. I mean, they got Siaki Ika, but let's go with Chris Jenkins, who's a little bit more put together. Miami Dolphins, we took Byron Murphy in the first round. We don't have third or fourth round pick. Let's go ahead, let's grab some offensive line help, particularly at guard. That's where we got an opening. I'm going to take one of my top players on the board in Christian Haynes. Dallas Cowboys, and you know what? You got what? Deuce Vaughn at running back? Yeah, let's go ahead and just be the first team to take a running back in this class in Trey Benson, who is my top running back. I'll be shocked if he's not going to be like the consensus top running back in this class. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they bring back Jordan Whitehead, but you could probably look for other options at safety. I mean, to be fair, Antoine Winfield is on the franchise tag, so there's no security that he will be with you past this season, though I do think they will re-sign him. But let's get a long-term running mate for him in Javon Bullard, who could also kick into the slot. Green Bay Packers, and you know what? I'm going to grab that corner help. I'm going to grab a guy that tested out hella well. And fun fact, his brother is already on the team. I'm going to grab Mex Melton. Let's go. Back here with the Houston Texans, I took Brandon Fisk, and you know what? They bring in Joe Mixon. We've already seen one run back off the board. I think Bobby Slowick wants that home run threat and wants it bad. So we're going to go ahead and snag that home run threat. Not at quarterback. That's already solved for the Texans. At running back in Jalen Wright. All right, pick 60, Buffalo Bills. And I kind of just went best player available. And it's a position they probably could look to add more guys at. And I'm going to grab Marshawn Kneeland out of Western Michigan. Gregory Rousseau, that's your guy. They bring back AJ Epinesa. Von Miller wasn't that good last year, so maybe you want to get a little bit more depth and an actual rotation in that edge room. Detroit Lions, I'm not satisfied at the corner position. Let's take a shot at corner. I think a really good fit would be Renardo Green out of Florida State, a very pesky physical press corner. Baltimore Ravens, and I think you need to look for more long-term solutions at wide receiver. So I'm going to snag Jalen Polk, who I think is just a wide receiver they really don't have on the roster right now. Just a plucky junkyard dog that just can get it done, and he could separate vertically. San Francisco 49ers, and this may surprise some people. There wasn't really a pick I was in love with here, but I thought it'd be fun to get just another yak guy for the offense. So I'm going to snag Malachi Corley here for the San Francisco 49ers. I'm going to be honest. You can line him up in the backfield too. You can really get real creative with him. All right, last pick of the second round. We're going to get that receiver. Troy Franklin's here. He's a little bit different than everyone else you have on the roster. So we're going to end the second round by taking a receiver for the Chiefs. All right, pick 65, Carolina Panthers. I'm going to grab corner help because Dane Jackson's your corner too. I'm not content with that. Let's go ahead and take a shot on a guy. I'm going to go with Cam Hart. In this instance, gives you some size. Arizona Cardinals, really, again, kind of just want to add talent at other positions. I'm going to snag Jonah Ellis, who probably can't start early. Still think he needs to develop a little bit, especially with his body. But I like the upside with him. Like, dude was twitched out of his mind. Big fan of that. Commanders, Chris Braswell, like there's some edge talent hitting us in the face. I'd be a fool not to take it. We're going to snag Chris Braswell here. Remember, guys, good players fall in the draft. Happens every year. New England Patriots. This kind of worked out for us as we went quarterback, wide receiver, and now we could go with tackle. Let's get a tackle for the future that we don't necessarily have to start now. And we're going to grab Patrick Paul to develop. Los Angeles Chargers. They brought in Gus Edwards, but I don't think they're done at running back yet. Let's go ahead. Let's do another Harbaugh reunite and grab Blake Corum here. New York Giants. And they were missing Leonard Williams, right? So let's get a guy that has that sort of upside, but definitely needs to be developed a little bit. And Mason Smith out of LSU. I think he's got that upside there. Arizona Cardinals. Hey, we're back on the clock. We just took Jonah Ellis. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to address the guard position with one of my, because I'm going to tell you, offensive interior are going to come off the board in this round. So I'm going to go ahead and snag Christian Mahogany. New York Jets. We took Brock Bowers. We're sitting here and shoot, let's just take better Randall Cobb in Roman Wilson. Let's go. We're getting younger and better at the pass catcher position. Detroit Lions. This is our last pick of day 2. And I really do want to address that guard position with a guy that I think is right up Dan Campbell's alley in Mason McCormick out of South Dakota State. I think he did a lot to help his stock. Like, I liked him as a 3rd, 4th rounder coming into the season, and he did nothing but help his stock at both the Shrine and then at, I don't think he's done his, or at the Combine. There we go. I was like, I don't think he's done his pro day. That's because it was at the Combine. Atlanta Falcons. Drew Dolman, I think, is going into the last year of his deal, so maybe you want to look at the future at center. So I'm going to snag Bo Limmer here. Big fan of Bo Limmer as well. Chicago Bears. We took Caleb Williams. We took Roma Dunze. I'm going to go ahead and grab some edge talent here in Adisa Isaac. Denver Broncos. We took Bo Nix. So now what do we do next? Well, I just saw some interior prospects come off the board on the offensive side. You just lost Lloyd Cushenberry, who's playing center. Hell if I know. So let's just get in on this class and snag a center. Some people have Cedric Van Pran, but as the next center off the board, but I do think the NFL's going to be pretty high on Tanner Bortolini. We got the Las Vegas Raiders, and they need to get bigger at corner. We are going to get bigger with Tyree Jackson. That's a big boy, big long boy. All right, we got the Commanders. We're back here on the clock. We're just grabbing them good talent. They brought in Zach Ertz. That's not a long-term answer at tight end. Let's be the first to swing on tight end 2 in this class, and I'm actually going to go with the upside of Theo Johnson. Production wasn't necessarily there at Penn State. Some of that could be put on Penn State, but in terms of athleticism, he's got it. In terms of tools, he's got it. Back here with the Atlanta Falcons, and I'm going to get some more cornerback help. I think a good fit to Raheem Morris's scheme would be a guy like this who had a great Senior Bowl in Jarvis Brownlee Jr. out of Louisville. Cincinnati Bengals. You know what? I just saw Theo Johnson come off where I was like, maybe I should get in on this tight end class right now because it's not terribly deep. It really isn't. So I'm going to take Ben Sinnott, a guy who can block, but even better, he can create after the catch. He's actually a really fluid receiver. Seattle Seahawks. They brought in one linebacker, and he is escaping my name right now. What linebacker did you bring in? Oh, I think it was Dodson, right? Tyrell Dodson. Yeah, we need to add more guys. We need to add more guys, and we will. I'm actually going to snag someone I think the NFL is going to be pretty high on, and we'll take a shot on day 2 on. I don't think he's all the way put together. I still think he needs to kind of get the cerebral part of the game going. But in terms of length, athleticism, Trevin Wallace has that ninefold. Indianapolis Colts. And, I mean, we just saw a bunch of tight ends go off the board. Jatavion Sanders is there. you're kind of unsettled at tight end. Like Jelani Woods missed all of last year. You don't really know what you have in him. Kyle Granson's really just a big slot. Mo Ali Cox is really just a depth guy. So let's take a shot on Sanders here at pick 82. Rams, we took Olu Fashanu, and who else did I take? I feel like I took Rook Orohoro. So we could address edge, we could address corner. And ultimately, I think the value currently on the board is at edge. Take a shot on Braylon Trice, who has been exceptionally productive the last 2 seasons, but had kind of a wonky off-season draft process where he shedded like 30 pounds and then didn't run incredibly well at the combine. But the production is there. Pittsburgh Steelers, we do have a pick at 98, but I don't think I want to risk it. You don't have a future option at quarterback. Russell Wilson's on a 1-year deal. So I'm willing to take a shot at Spencer Rattler as that guy. I mean, you're not investing a ton in him. And I mean, you get him, you got to see him down there at the Senior Bowl. So yeah, let's just go ahead and do that. That means you're not going to probably be trading for Justin Fields. All right, we're back here with the Cleveland Browns. We took Chris Jenkins and as more of a guy for the future, and we're going to kind of do that with Greg Newsome. I don't necessarily know if they're going to be able to pay him, and if they can't, you should probably have the next guy up, which in this case, it's going to be Josh Newton, who can play outside. He could play in the slot, but I think he would play the game the way that Schwartz would love. Houston Texans, again, I think I'm gonna go with someone that I don't know if he's getting necessarily a lot of hype. Could end up being a mid to late 3rd rounder. Could go in the 4th round. But in this safety class, I feel like everyone's gonna have all kinds of different opinions. But I'm gonna go with someone who I think comps relatively well to Jimmy Ward, and that's gonna be the rabbit here, Taylor Demerson out of Texas Tech. All right, we got the Cowboys, and they release Michael Gallup. So let's take a shot on a vertical downfield, like a vertical speed option in Devontae Walker. Green Bay Packers, and again, this isn't a Raz guy, but I think it's a guy worth taking a shot on. And Cameron Kitchens didn't entirely have a great offseason draft process. And his 2023 was kind of up and down, but he's got those ball hawking skills, those ball skills you kind of want to take a shot on. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I think I'm going to go with the interior here. Left guard is still kind of wide open. You brought in some veteran talent, but maybe you take a shot on like Cooper Beebe. I'm a big fan of him, and he's good value here. Arizona Cardinals, your backup to James Conner is what? DJ Dallas, Mikado. Yeah, no, let's do something about that. Let's go get Jonathan Brooks, who might not be good to go at the beginning of the year. It sounds like actually he will be good to go for training camp, but had a very impressive this past season with the Texas Longhorns. Green Bay Packers back on the clock, and I'm gonna reunite Affley and his former corner here. I got more of a 4th round grade on him than Elijah Jones, but I really liked his offseason draft process. He tested really well. He would fit into that Raz category. So, bam, we're snagging him here. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, shoot, we're back on the clock. Mike Evans is on a 2-year deal. Let's take a shot on a wide receiver. Take a shot on Johnny Wilson. Is he a wide receiver? Is he the next Darren Waller? I don't know, but you could figure it out. Baltimore Ravens, pick 93, and I'm going to look at a project here on the edge in Austin Booker, but the tools are very interesting with him, so we're going to snag him here. Pick 94, San Francisco 49ers. I'm going to get more help on the offensive line. Dominic Pooney is actually really good value here if I could find him. Do they have him listed as tackle? They do. Probably profiles as a guard at the next level, which is fine. And you know what? At the Senior Bowl, he actually showed that he could play a little bit of center. So he gives you a lot of versatility. And this is really good value at pick 94. Kansas City Chiefs. I'm going to go ahead potentially get a left tackle of the future. Kieran Amagaji. I don't think he's good to start now, but maybe somewhere down the road. He's got athleticism. He's got length. Denver Broncos back here on the clock, and Cortland Sutton I don't believe is a long-term option. I'm going to get a potential replacement for him in Javon Baker. I'm a big fan of, but in this wide receiver class, it's probably going to fall a little bit. I think in any other class, he's more of a like midday 2 prospect. Cincinnati Bengals. I grabbed Ben Sinnott with my last pick, and I know that they brought back Trent Irwin. I don't care. Let's find a better slot option. And that better slot option is freaking Malik Washington. I love how this guy moves. I love his after the catch ability. I think he ends up going in the 3rd round. Pittsburgh Steelers. We took Spencer Rattler last time. I think I'm finally ready to take that wide receiver now with so many of them off the board. And Jalen McMillan, man, kind of like the lost Washington receiver here, which is a shame because he's immensely talented in his own right, and I think he'd be a good fit to the wide receiver core here for the Pittsburgh Steelers. All right, we got the Rams, and they really don't have a linebacker next to Ernest Jones, or at least one that I think is relatively good. So I'm gonna grab the Washington linebacker. Big fan of Eddie Fon here. And I don't know why he's so low down here, but he tested phenomenally, better than I anticipated. I was honestly scared that he wasn't going to test that well, and then he just blows it out of the water. When it comes to up here in the head, I think he's already got it put together, man. I think he is plug and play. You just kind of worry a little bit about the injury history. And then the final pick, Washington Commanders. We've already done a ton of things for the Commanders, but they just lost Cam Curl recently. So I'm going to get a replacement for him in Cole Bishop out of Utah. And that ends this 3-round mock draft. If you want free agent content, or hey, if you want to check out my quarterback rankings, I'll leave that video down below. But thank you as always. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. And until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.